Yeah.
Before we pivot, like the podcast.
The pivot
we're going to
podcast.
pivot. We're going to pivot like the podcast. Last 17 games, batting .359, 11 home runs, 18 RBIs, 17 runs, 423 OBP, 15 extra base hits. Yeah, he's on fire. He's rolling right now.
Wow.
But you know what else is on fire? The 49ers right now. That's where we're starting, and that's where we're going to probably end. Look, congrats to the Giants. They got back to 500. Awesome. Logan Webb got a win. Camilo Duvall looked good. Great. Awesome.
Don't forget Taylor Rogers striking out 2 lefties in a row.
Great.
I think it was the most high-leverage situation he's been in all year. Runners on second and third.
No outs.
Wood coming to the plate.
Awesome.
I know.
Awesome.
I'm just twisting the knife.
Why are you twisting?
The Giants. It just feels so irrelevant compared to the Aiyuk situation.
Well, that's where we're going right now. Brandon Aiyuk. Rumor galore. And last night, Matt Mayoko. I see already David Hernandez. Aiyuk could kick rocks. And it's so funny how fans flip on a player. It's all good, though. We're going to get into it. Matt Mayoko yesterday broke some news, and we heard the rumors, and everybody was trying to break news. Oh, breaking news, Aiyuk to the Steelers. And nothing happened yet. Nothing had happened yet. However, when Matt Mayoko tweets out, and he had to tweet Sunday night, and then last night, basically, the Niners are willing to listen to trade offers for Brandon Aiyuk, and have given the star wide receiver permission to negotiate a contract with other teams. However, when we talk about leverage and this and that and who has the leverage, well, Aiyuk's not going to Boston. They want guarantees that he's going to re-sign with them and sign a long-term deal. He's not going to do that with New England. He refused to do that at the NFL draft, and he's not going to do it now. Now, Cleveland is very intriguing, but is Cleveland really willing to give up Amari Cooper? Are they really willing to give up Amari Cooper? So we're going to get into how we got here, and why I think this has been bad business. But, both parties are guilty, but I think the Niners overplayed their hands. They had a guy who was willing to sign a contract shortly after the Super Bowl, wanted to get it done. They balked, they waited, they balked, they waited, and then you get through the NFL trade deadline, and you don't move them. And now here we are in the midst of training camp, getting ready for a preseason game against Tennessee Saturday night in Nashville. And now we're talking about trading the ex-wide receiver on your football team. Because when the Niners break the huddle in practice right now, you know who their ex-wide receiver is? Chris Conley. It's Chris Conley. Is he ready for that role? Is Jennings ready for that role? Is Pearsall ready for that role? We're talking about Brandon Aiyuk here. And to me, it just feels like we've underrated him. And now we're in August, and we're thinking about, as we get ready for a Super Bowl, we're talking about trading Brandon Aiyuk and not replacing him with a player. I mean, if they get Amari Cooper, it's a miracle. That'd be a miracle.
To your point, overarching theme, I think the majority of Niner fans really like Brandon Aiyuk, want to see him stay on the team, and are really disappointed that this has gotten this far down the road. That's what I think the majority of Niner fans want to see Aiyuk play for the Niners, sign some sort of a deal to stay here. And to a degree, the Niners are victims of their own success. When you have this many people making top dollar, it's really, really, really difficult. Now, I'm a believer, and I don't know. We're not there. We're not in the negotiations. I have no idea who is driving the hard line. I believe most of the time it's both. It's two parties, because I believe it takes two to tango in any scenario. But when a deal is made, typically, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a compromise amongst, right, business associates, whether you're purchasing a house, whatever, two parties lose a little, and they meet in the middle. That's my belief on how most deals are done.
Right.
And I don't know who's driving the hard line here, but I believe it to be both parties. Did the Niners come in at a number from the beginning that was just never going to get the deal done? Probably. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Probably. There's a reason Parag Marathe has been employed by the York family for decades.
Right.
He's really good at his job, and he's a stickler for every nickel. That we know. Okay, we know that. I also know, I think the Niners got bent over pretty hard last year with the Bosa thing. And if you think about it, when you get screwed by one, the very next guy that comes up in line, are you going to get screwed again? Probably not. And so I think the Niners, to your point, probably did overplay their hand a little on this one. Simultaneously, I don't know what Brandon Aiyuk it has as a sticking offer. Did he have a specific number in mind that he was never going to budge from? Did the number was it originally lower? And then other people came in the door and now that number elevated, which is fair, because once all these other houses in the neighborhood start selling, my house value goes up and I want to sell at a certain price. Like, in this scenario, I'm really disappointed because I do see both sides of this one, and I just want this guy to be on this team for one more run. That's all I want.
That's all I want too. And look, man, we look at Bosa's contract and his money that he's going to get and the base salary or whatnot and the cap that he's going to end up getting. He's making some big-time money, Nick Bosa, big-time money. And look, he's worth it. And I look at Javon Hargrave. Making big-time money. 2025 is going to make 28. It's going to make 29 to 2026. We'll see if he even gets there. To not take care of our own, as Niner fans, we've been looking for top-flight wide receivers and drafting wide receivers for many, many years. Many, many years. And you finally get a guy who went the JUCO route and went to Arizona State. And I listened to the Pivot podcast again last night, and I was listening to it on the way this morning just to rehash some things because there was a lot of nastiness going on online yesterday by beat writers who shall remain nameless, basically just assassinating his character, basically calling him a child, basically saying he's not an adult in the room, even though he showed up to camp and held in to try to get a new deal done, and he's been at practice. And this playbook gets sickening to me when it comes from white journalists assassinating black characters in sports. And I'm not trying to make it a race thing at all, but I see this all the time, and it's nasty work. That Aiyuk is a child. He's not being an adult. He's being immature, blah, 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 blah. And inciting Deebo Samuel as an example of being an adult. We remember what happened after 2021 with Deebo Samuel. It was nasty work by Deebo. Nasty work when he lost a lot of fans, lost a lot of Q rating for the way he was acting trying to get a new deal. So I'm not with the character assassination when I hear from his JUCO coach, Sierra, saying, man, this guy was on time all the time. He worked his ass off. He was in the film room. I had no issues with Brandon Aiyuk. None whatsoever. You go to Herm Edwards. What did Herm Edwards and Antonio Pierce and all those guys say about Brandon Aiyuk? They love the guy. He had offers to Colorado State. He had offers to Kansas, Tennessee. He went to Arizona State to play with Herm. Didn't play a lot early on at Arizona State. And then next thing you know, he takes off. And as we were talking about N'Keal Harry, other people were like, there's this Brandon Aiyuk guy at Arizona State who's going to be better than all of them. And he becomes a first-round pick, and we don't know who he is. And he starts off slow during the pandemic season. Of course, he has that great run on Sunday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles. But what we're not going to do is assassinate this character. You may think that he's asking for too much, and that may be a thing. He may be asking for too much. But I have no problem with any player, whether they're overrated, underrated, betting on themselves. And that's basically what Brandon Aiyuk is doing. He said, I can be an X, and I could be a wide receiver in any system and make this thing go. I believe in my talents. You want me to run deep crossers? I can do that. You want me to run stutter and goes? I can do that. You want me to get my nose in dirty and go block middle linebackers? I can go do that too. I can be a well-rounded wide receiver. And we finally got one. And I thought about a conversation Guru and I were having with a former member of the 49ers at the Bay Area Sports Hall of Fame. And that person came out and said, and I respect this former player to the teams. He shall remain nameless. But he told Guru and I, you can ask Guru when he comes in here, Sasky. He goes, so you look at the receiver room right now. Who you betting on? You betting on Deebo? You betting on Jennings? Or you betting on Aiyuk? I said, I'm betting on Aiyuk. Guru said the same thing. And that former player said, you guys hit it on the head. It's Brandon Aiyuk, and that's the only answer. You cannot let this guy go. You cannot let this guy go in this offense, in this system. So here we are here, Dylan. And this, to me, this is bad business. This is bad business. Aiyuk may end up going to Pittsburgh, which he wants. What he say on the Pivot podcast? If I had to guess, I'd play for the Niners, I'd play for the Commanders with Jane Daniels, or I'd go to Pittsburgh and play with Mike Tomlin and those dogs over there with Darnell Washington, Firemuth, and Jalen Warren, and Najee Harris, and George Pickens, and I feel really good over there. But he wants to be a Niner. He wants to be a Niner. He wants to be here. So I think in this situation, it's bad business by the 49ers to take it this far. If you're going to have a game plan, if you know who's going to go this route, why not just trade him at the NFL draft and get a player that can help you now? Now you're going to trade this guy, and you're going to put this pressure on Brock, Pearsall, Conley, Jennings to step up for Brandon Aiyuk? All right, that to me is bad business, Shasky. This is terrible.
Well, I mean, it sounded like they were close, and then, the market kind of exploded, and then the Niners gave, again, I'm just reading the tea leaves here. The Niners, gave him either a deadline with a number attached to it, and Brandon Aiyuk refused it, or maybe the Niners never came up from their original offer. That I don't know. I legitimately don't know. He requested a trade. He's there. This is one of the rare circumstances, where I do see both sides.
I see both sides.
And I understand, being frustrated at the Niners. I really do. If they were 27 other teams, the Niners were 27 other teams, they probably could do some wiggle room here and find a way to find the extra $4 or $5 million or whatever it is the difference and cave into what his demands are. But they are one of the few teams that literally has 40 guys of the 75 that are in camp right now. 40 guys are looking for a new contract. 40.
It's not
I counted it out. 40 guys. Okay. And so there is a pecking order. And again, this is just my understanding is.
Wait, 40 guys looking for a new deal.
There are 40 guys that are going to be either restricted or unrestricted free agents at the end of this year of the 75-man roster. 40 guys. Okay.
Well, how many will be on the 53 is what I want.
Well, so I'll just let's go right down the list. I mean, Elijah Mitchell, who was sat out on Sunday, Brandon Aiyuk, Chris Connolly, Trent Taylor, Malik Turner, Logan Thomas, Braden Willis, Aaron Banks, Colton McKivitz. Right. I'm just going Jalen Moore. You could say, Joe, none of those guys are on the caliber of Brandon Aiyuk. Okay, wait till I get to the end here. Givens, Malik Collins. Let's go to the linebackers. Dre Greenlaw can be an unrestricted free agent if they buy him out for $1 million. DeAndre Campbell. I look at the secondary, and this is where it gets kind of tricky. Hufanga, Lenore, Ambry Thomas, all of these guys can be free agents. Charvarius Ward. So Brandon Aiyuk is one of many guys, and I feel like they did probably try to prioritize him, and there's a pecking order here. And I think CMC needing new money might have jumped the pecking order. I think Trent Williams needing new money might have jumped the pecking order.
They have.
I think Brandon Aiyuk, they have money allotted to him, and whether it's enough for him or not, I don't know. But there are other people in line probably with their hand out. If you're not going to pay Brandon, well, I'm willing to negotiate now of these other guys that I reference. And look, you could say, Joe, Brandon Aiyuk is more important than all those guys that you reference. I agree. But the way you build a team is could I get 3 of these guys for the price of Brandon Aiyuk? I don't know if that's the calculation they're doing.
That's what they did with Brandon. That's what they did with DeForest Buckner. They thought we could get Jimmy Ward and Eric Armstead, and we could get Javon Kinlaw. Now, Kinlaw didn't work out. Jimmy Ward ended up leaving, and he left with a sour note. The way he acted in Philadelphia, that was not mature to me. That was not maturity.
What he
acted at the end there. But when you bring up guys like Elijah Mitchell, he's going to be gone. Jalen Moore, he doesn't play. The big boys. I'm looking at Travarius Ward, Diablo Lenore, Hufanga. Okay, cool. Greenlaw, I feel we may be looking at D. Winters taking his spot. Or Jalen Graham taking his spot. Trey Greenlaw may never be the same after that Achilles tendon. We may never see that. I think when it comes to football, am I gonna pay Dre? I love Dre Greenlaw. He's one of my favorite players. But am I gonna invest multi-million dollars in a guy coming off a torn ACL when I know that I got D. Winters and Jalen Graham on the cheap to play alongside Fred Warner?
But that's the other side of the
right.
There's always this thing. If Aiyuk goes on the field, he could tear his ACL. No one ever looks at it from, and I'm not saying I cape up for management, but no one ever looks on the other side we gave Dre Greenlaw a massive contract. He was worth it. Yeah, and he tore his Achilles, and now you're paying him for tearing his Achilles, and that sucks, right? So it goes both ways. At least he tore it in
the Super Bowl.
What?
He tore it in the Super Bowl, playing his ass off. Something you can't do anything.
I'm not blaming him. What I'm saying, though, is that everyone says, you could get hurt, which you can. You could also get hurt after you get paid.
Absolutely.
Both are. Absolutely. Todd Gurley's a great example. But they paid Todd Gurley, and he got hurt, and he was never the same.
But don't you want to do right by the player?
Of course.
That gives your organization the respect that they deserve, and other players see that as you know what? No matter what, they did right by the player.
But outside of the Buckner situation, where they did send him to a place where he got his money, when have they ever done any guy on the roster
really
wrong?
Well. They've done really well with this regime. However, I was thinking about this yesterday. The Harbaugh era ended, and there was a lot of leaks everywhere, right? People are talking, leaking everywhere. Here we are going into year 8 of Shanahan and Lynch. And there's people chirping all over the place.
It's a byproduct of success.
This place was so buttoned up when they started. And they started, and it was buttoned up. And for somewhere, somehow, things just spiraled to the point where there's rumors here, there's rumors there, there's trades here. Our offseasons have not been drama-free whatsoever. Every single offseason, there's something that's hanging over. Now, to their credit, they've been able to put that to the side and get far in the playoffs and get deep into the season and play winning football. Credit to them for blocking out the noise. They know how to do that very, very well. But at the same time, there's just so much leakage going on and reports by beat writers or whatnot. I'm thinking, damn, can we button this up a little bit? Man, that's where Aiyuk got pissed off. When you look at the Pivot podcast, where the first time he ever spoke, he goes, look, man, I thought we were negotiating. I was getting my suit ready. I thought we had a deal done. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing things in the media and they report numbers. That's not good business. That's not good negotiations. You know what I'm saying? And that ticked off the player. Players get ticked off by that stuff. When you start leaking numbers out there and they're having a negotiation back and forth, and all of a sudden the leak gets out to Adam Schefter or it gets out to Ian Rappaport, you're watching TV, it's like, wait a minute. I thought that was a private conversation. So now it just feels like teams and the player, both these parties, are trying to get ahead of the PR trade, right? They're trying to get the headline to say, hey, hold on. We're doing it well. Hold on. It's just like the Klay Thompson situation in a way where things got nasty with Klay at the end. All those stink pieces. I'm like, can a player just leave?
Yeah, but you can't control, like, for the like the Adam Schefter stuff. Like, you could feel that the team leaked it. I don't know. I don't know what ended up happening.
It's coming from somewhere.
But you also need to be emotionless. If you're going to say everything's a business, right? To some degree, you have to understand part of the business model in the professional sports world is everything gets leaked. And fair or not, that's what ends up happening. To your point about now things are going to get, there's no doubt it is very chaotic. They've got mega superstars who are on cameras everywhere. They're on the receiver dock. They've got millions of followers on various social media platforms. Their wives, the team is so popular, some of the wives are as popular as some of the players on the team, right? And then this is a byproduct of the success. When you're in the Super Bowl and you're pounding on the NFC Championship door every single year, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but the Chiefs had a similar contract thing go down with Chris Jones, where Chris Jones, they just won the Super Bowl, and Chris Jones is in the stands week 1 with 2 guys that look like they're from the mob, right? So even Kansas City with the Golden Boy has had issues.
Right, and so they've had issues, and they still come into camp. And this narrative that, and there's another narrative that I want to debunk today is that, Brandon Aiyuk's priority is to get the back. Yeah, he wants to take care of himself and his family. There's no doubt about that. But you don't think the guy wants to win? Now we're questioning winning. Like, you bring up Chris Jones. I was talking to somebody. It was funny you bring up Chris Jones. I was talking to somebody yesterday about Chris Jones. It's like, remember he held out? Everybody tried to say it was about his weight. Yeah, he wanted to be taken care of as the top of the top. He's a big-time player. Let me be the top of the top. And he misses the games. They finally paid him, and he goes out there and dominates again in the biggest of biggest games, because a guy at the end of the day wants to win.
Yeah.
All these players want to win, but they also want to get taken care of, right? So, look, what does this offense look like with Brandon Aiyuk? Because right now my mind is Brandon Aiyuk's not on this football team. So now I'm looking at how does this offense move without Brandon Aiyuk? We're going to have Larry Krueger on at 8:30. He's been at every practice. I got to know what's going on in practice. Kawakami's going to join us at 9:20 to talk about the cap, because he's saying some different things where Brock Purdy's money won't really take effect into the cap until 2026. So I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on with the cap and Brock Purdy's money and how you navigate through that. But right now, Brandon Aiyuk has been told to go negotiate a deal with Cleveland, New England. It's probably not going to happen with New England. And Cleveland, I know he doesn't want to go there. And if the Niners do trade with Cleveland, they're going to want Amari Cooper. That'd be great if we get Amari Cooper. That'd be awesome.
It's a decent compensation package.
That's a great compensation package.
I think most of us would prefer to have Aiyuk, right? Like, we want Aiyuk.
I don't want Aiyuk gone.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I want to have Aiyuk on the team. I want one last run with this team. But, like, maybe he wants top dollar. I don't know if he wants top dollar, but I'll say this. He had 3 games in the regular season and 1 game in the playoffs to prove what it would look like, him as the number 1 minus Debo. And it was a little spotty. And you could say, Joe, they didn't also have their left tackle. Very fair. They might not have their left tackle in years moving forward. Yeah, the quarterback didn't play well. Totally fair. But the guys that are commanding $30 million plus have been A1 targets on their roster for multiple years. And I'm just again, this is a small sample.
They also have different offenses, though, Joe. They also are pass-first offenses where their running games are not the focal point of their offenses.
Which is why I've been saying since day one, does it make good? I'm asking out loud, does it make good team-building sense?
For this guy, yes. He's your ex. He's a dog. He does everything on every single down. He gets down and dirty in this offense. You want people to get down and dirty, blocking downfield. You're looking at those Christian McCaffrey runs. Just looking at the highlights again last night. Damn, there's number 11 blocking downfield, 50 yards downfield. How many wide receivers don't want to block? Who don't? Hell, Deebo Samuel, they say he tips off plays because when he's not getting the ball, I'm just going to lollygag off the line of scrimmage. And I'm not picking off Deebo at all. All this stuff matters in this offense.
No, I understand that.
Aiyuk was trying to explain that with Ryan Clark saying, look, man, I do everything they ask. First and second down, I'm cracking down on linebackers. I got no problem with that. Third down, I'm going to go beat this guy. I'm going to go beat this guy one-on-one. So you know what? If they're going to move him, move him. But I think it's bad business that they waited this long to move him when we're trying to get ready for a regular season. And if you don't get a player that can help you for this season, then I'm going to be a little concerned about this team.
But I mean, obviously, they're not a better team with Aiyuk off the team. Like, there's just not. There's no other way around it. But I don't pay a guy $31 million a year.
I don't know if he's asking for
block,
that.
Right? We don't know what he's asking for.
Well, they're paying George Kittle a lot of money to block. He's blocking on the most crucial downs in the Super Bowl. And how many times we see that? No, we don't pay George Kittle to block. Well, that's what he does. He got 3 targets in the damn Super Bowl against Kansas City.
And he's making half of what Debo makes.
But he got his guaranteed money, though. They moved his money on and he got paid.
But
he got his money. All right, let's
But Aiyuk has gotten more guaranteed money through 3 years than Diamond Lenore and Hufanga.
I'm not going to pocket watch. I'm not going to pocket watch today. I'm not going to pocket watch today. He's worth every damn dime, and he deserves the bag. He's one of the best X-receivers in this league. And you know what? If you want to trade him, then trade him. To hell with it. Let's see what this passing game looks like moving forward without Brandon Aiyuk, because that's what I'm ready for. And we're going to see what's what. We're going to see who's who. That's what's coming up, brought to you by Robert.